The more you sauna, the better you'll be.
It's hard to live without one.
You know, you can't not have a sauna.
It's been an important part of our life always.
The Finnish sauna is the Finnish pharmacy. It takes care of worms and germs, squeaks and squirms, and anything else that ails you.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool.
But you have to have a vasta.
I heat it every night. That's where I take I bathe in it too. So it's a big part of my life. And it does make you feel better, no doubt about it. Your aches and pains go away for a little bit, you know. But it is all of, meditative.
Just clear the mind. And sometimes you just go in there and quiet and, especially the one I got down at the lake, you can just sit, because I got a window overlooking the lake, so just kind of sit there and, get kind of lost in there if you want.
Cleanliness, mind, body, and soul. To me, it was always my think tank to let it go down the drain or to replenish yourself. And looking outside this window here, jumping in the backyard in the snowbank, even as an adult.
Now, when I was growing up here, we had a dairy farm here and stuff. So, and the sauna was the only place we bathed in. We took a sauna once a week on Saturday night, whether we needed one or not,
Yeah.
My grandparents had it like every Wednesday, every Saturday. It was this bi-weekly thing they always did,
Yeah.
I don't think they ever bathed otherwise.
I got a sauna. It's a log sauna built by my dad and a cousin from Finland, Buckman, in 1947. And it replaced the savu sauna that was on our farm.
You see so many different ones, whether it's been there for years and years or somebody just kind of remodeled one or, like I said, I've got one at my house and I got one at the lake, so. And the one at the lake I built out of an old pop-up camper.
We had an old log sauna, but then later on, I think in the early 50s, my dad built a more modern sauna. And I have a wood-burning stove in there that my brother built for me. And there's a hot water tank on the side, which is a stainless steel 16-gallon beer barrel.
I wish I was still able to go into the family sauna, but I cannot. So I'm still grieving. I helped Dad build it, and it's a loss.
I built a full-size red caboose.
Okay.
Like you'd see in old pictures, like a red, and then half of it was a sauna, and the other half was got bunk beds and just kind of a hangout spot. But due to some electrical problem and nobody was home, it burst into flames and that was it. So I decided to build a new one on a foundation that existed from a previous sauna from owners that used to live here. We started from scratch and built this one. It was actually, I say we because it was my dad and I. He flew out from Portland. And I like to say that he helped me, but I really helped him. He's in his 70s and he was crawling all the way up in the rafters and all kinds of stuff.
I've taken saunas from, the old Jukri sauna. They used to be in Lorium years ago, the community sauna. Used to be one in Atlantic. You could go to pay a quarter, I think it was, and had tin on the back walls. And I was thinking of saunas, different saunas I've taken, or where I've, taken saunas at, and it's kind of interesting. Everywhere from here to Finland.
And now my daughter, actually, she's traveled quite a bit in Europe and that for her work and that, and she's found saunas in Switzerland and in Norway and, wherever she goes, she looks for a sauna, I guess.
A Finn will always find a sauna. Yeah.
One little thing I remember about when I was a little boy and I used to go in the sauna with my dad. Well, my dad was in his 40s when I was born. And even as a little boy, I remember him having a bald spot down the middle of his head, with just a little hair on the sides. And he used to tell me, when you scrub your head, don't use your fingernails. He said, just do the tip of your fingers and rub it in good. get your scalp nice and clean. He said, if you use your fingernails, you'll be bald by the time you're 50, like I am, he said. And I guess it works because I'm 76 now.
Hey, there you go.
I must have been.
Got a finger now.
And I remember as a kid going to a savo sauna, which is a smoke sauna, on my grandfather's property up on the Gay Lake Linden, Betsy Road, they call it. And as a kid, I was only 4 or 5, and it's a fire on the floor, and right, the rocks around it. It's really low, not even 5 foot. You crawl into it, and all the inner walls, of course, it was a log little building, and there was soot and carbon on there, probably a ½ inch thick. But as a kid, you got to investigate, and it served its purpose. And unfortunately, grandfather died, and I was only in it 2 times, I remember. But after being to the Finlandia Sauna Week, it brought those memories back. And once I saw this, yeah, I'll go share my story.
The sauna was the only other warm place on a farm besides the cow barn.
Right.
So lots of stuff was done in here. My dad actually made us skis, all us kids and himself skis. And there's the longer pairs of them out there are
I was
found.
admiring them outside, yeah.
Yeah, that short pair, the cousin that helped my dad build this, Buckman, he was from Finland. He made those for me when I was about 5 years old. And the odd thing is, he was staying with another cousin over here a couple miles away, and they're a bunch of bachelors, and they lived in the sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember visiting them.
Yeah, they lived in the sauna.
They lived in the sauna, yeah.
But one of the cool things about sauna is the connections that it forms between families in a neighborhood. And again, we were on the Keeler Hill Road there in just outside of Bruce Crossing in Paynesville. And when my grandmother would throw a fire in the stove, whatever night it was of the week, that the smoke would be rising, and it's like, and you didn't even have to contact people, but people would start showing up because they knew coffee would be on there. My grandmother would have, things that she would have fixed. And so you'd take sauna and then come in and have coffee and all that. But we had 3 bachelors who lived out behind us, and they'd show up, and then there were, the old couple up the hill would show up always, and then whoever else, but it was just like a smoke signal almost, just like, is that welcome?
My neighborhood, they always come over because I'm the only one on my road that has a sauna. So a lot of times someone else heats it. I don't even have to do it, but it's handy for me because it saves me some work.
Finns have a reputation for being rather reticent. And I'll be the first to admit, I'm a generally very quiet person. But it's very interesting how sauna kind of changes that. Like, because you can get in a sauna, nothing on, with total strangers, and the amount of conversation that goes on in a sauna, with people who are otherwise have a reputation for just not being outgoing or outspoken. It's like,
to be almost strangers, to be in a sauna together, which, nowadays if you said that to people, it'd be kind of like, how would they probably would think askance about it, but it doesn't mean nothing to us, to be in a sauna with somebody that you hardly know.
Sauna is so relaxing, cleansing, peace of mind. And if you don't leave the sauna in a better state of mind, you're not doing it correctly.
And actually, when that one burned down, I went without one for like 6 years, and it's tough. Life's a struggle. You got to have a sauna.
Oh, God.
That's been a part of my life for, what am I now, 68 years. I think I started when I was taking a sauna, or my mom took me in the sauna when I was a baby till last night I had a sauna. So 68 years of sauning.
So it's a part of tradition. I'm proud to be a Finn.
I'm very proud of my Finnish heritage, and it's part of me. I would hope to be remembered for that, and also to project forward that this little enclave of Finns up here in North America, really, our Finnishness is still with us here 150 years after our great-grandparents came over.